Hello everyone, this is Diane, and well, that just created a glare on that, didn't it? I'll turn it off for the moment. I want to show you this by the Seashore Journal, and I'm calling it Listen because this little girl is very interested in what the seashell has to say to her. She is taking the time to be still and listen. Sometimes we need to take the time to just stop and pay attention to what is going on around us. So I'm going to show you this journal, which I'm calling Listen, as I just said, but after I show you this, I'm going to show you a couple of things, like leftover things that I'm putting in my shop. There will be a little journal supply bundle for seashell or seashore themed journals, and then there will also be a bundle of pages out of seashell books. So 2 different bundles will be available, and I'll show them to you after I show you the journal. And before I show you the journal, I'm going to just quickly let you see what will come with the journal. There are some little scraps that you can use to create embellishments. There are some images from seashell journals, or books. Look at that little octopus. A few stickers from the antiquarian sticker book, and some images that I had cut out. I fussy cut them for you from a seashell book. These were art illustrations instead of photographs. Some more. These I stamped and embossed, and I'm giving you a couple of these stamped postcards that you can use, and some ephemera pieces from your creative studio. So all of those will be available for the owner of this journal to play with. I just have my little bottle of tiny little seashells with sand, which came from Bordeaux Mountain on the island of St. John in the Caribbean. So I just have that sitting there for mood. Now let's look at the journal. This cover was created with one of these Amazon envelopes. Nice and crinkly. They're craft paper. They have, you can't see it here, but instead of the dots that you can pop, what do you call them, bubble wrap. Instead of bubble wrap, it's little styrofoam dots that are just glued all over, and to give it some padding, and I just like the way it feels. So that's what I used to make the cover. I've tied it with a piece of blue tulle. So I took that envelope, and there is a video showing it, so I won't go into great detail. You can see the video. But I painted it with different colors, and I used a stencil. And then I Mod Podged this old magazine cover from the 1940s onto it. And then I Mod Podged all over. And it just feels so nice. I want to make more journals with the painting and Mod Podge technique because it just feels really smooth and nice. And I sewed all the way around because I had trimmed the edges off, so the envelope, I glued it, but I wanted to make sure it stayed sealed. So they're stitching all the way around except the bottom, because I had folded up the bottom to form pockets. And I had wanted to add some embellishments to that cover, but when I pulled out some stuff to try, I just was having a hard time wanting to cover anything. I didn't want to cover the Good Housekeeping because I really like that there. It lets you know that this is a vintage magazine cover, and it's a genuine magazine cover. This is not a digital. And I thought about putting something here, putting a piece of lace down here, but look at her little toes. I didn't want to cover any of this. So the only thing that I could bring myself to do was to just glue this piece of lace right there. So it adds a little bit of embellishment, but doesn't cover anything up. As I said, I folded up the bottom of the envelope. This was a larger envelope, so I folded up the bottom to create a pocket, and it's on the front and the back. and I painted that. It matches the front. And I added this blue trim I've had in my stash for a long time, and it just reminds me of jellyfish in this context. And I took an image from Mrs. Coggs Crafts, and I will link her shop below because I used 2 of her kits in this journal. And I took one of those fun images and just glued it, and I sewed around it before I glued it down. And then before I sewed it down, I sewed on some little spangles for just some fun, and there's a sticker there. And then I had several seashell books that I could work out of, so I took one of the pages out of one of those books and backed it with a scrapbook paper that's patterned but light enough that you can write on. And I just added some fabric and cheesecloth and a bit of lace here. So that's a nice little journaling card for you. I had to build out my scrapbook paper pages so that they would be wide enough for this book, which I should tell you, or I already have it written down. The cover measures 8 across by 10 1/4 high. It has 40 pages front and back, and it has 20 pockets. So that's a lot of pockets in a one signature journal. So I had to build out the pages, and that's fun to do, and it also gives opportunity for creating pockets. When you're adding things to it, you can do all kinds of fun things. So this is 4 by 6, I think it is, piece of paper that came with these vintage sea life images, which I thought was great. And this was a 4 by 6 pad of paper that I think I got in a Happy Mail. This is leftover Stampin' Up! Paper that I had. I just had a little bit of that left. And I added this blue chiffon, and it frays. You can trim that off if you don't like it. And I ruffled it up, and I added some more of those spangles and sequins and a scallop and starfish charm there. You can see the back of this paper was white, so I used some inks. I used one called Sahara Sand because this is a sandy paper here. And then I stenciled a couple of stencils on there and added this little sticker there that says beach. That's a Mrs. Coggs image. I put 2 Mrs. Coggs images. One of the kits that I got from her was a set of magazine images, vintage magazine images that featured beach life. So I backed them on silver cardstock and put them on as little pockets. And this is just a little Project Life card, and I used a very pale ink to stamp that seahorse. And this is just a leftover tag that I had. And these 2 little cardstock tags go in there. I stenciled on the back of that paper with a scallop stencil in a variety of colors. I folded this paper up to make a little pocket here and added some lace. You can journal on that and on that. I took a piece of lined paper and I crumpled it up, and then I used Distress inks on my glass mat. I sprayed it with water and then rubbed some of the inks down on the mat and sprayed them with water again, made them good and wet, and then just kind of dipped my paper into it. There's a sticker there. And this paper did get sewn in a little bit crooked, but I think it looks fine that way. Just kind of adds to the junk journal look. I don't mind it. I hope you don't. I forgot to put this back in. This is a Mrs. Coggs image, one of the big ones. Backed it with this paper that you can write on. And I sewed around the edges. Okay, this page, I added a pocket. I wanted to put this little image on from a children's book. And I love this little girl at the beach standing next to the pier. And I was trying to figure out how to add her on, and this is what I came up with. There's the silver cardstock, makes a long pocket, and it's covered with this pretty scrapbook paper. I just had a scrap of that, and I thought it was perfect. And then I trimmed this down so that it just fits nicely on there. And there's a piece of the pale blue tulle, again with sequins and spangles, and then a bulb pin with the whale tail charm. I took an 8x8 paper and folded it and rounded the corners and just decorated it with some stickers and Mrs. Cog's image and some more stickers on the inside. Did some more stenciling, and these are images that I fussy cut from this book, Seashells of the World. This is a pocket made out of seashell fabric, and I added a couple pieces of batik fabric. And then this is like a specialty paper. It's textured and it's got some glitter on it, but they kind of remind me of sand dollars. But I liked the color, the sandy color with the gold. And another 8x8 paper that I converted into a journaling card for you. It's got some cheesecloth, stenciling, and a sand dollar stamp. This was a piece of tissue paper that came with the Your Creative Studio items that my friend Leslie sent me. And I stamped up there. This is, I know it's Italian, and I don't know if it's straw paper. I know the straw paper is usually a straw color, but maybe they dye it too. I just got a pack of paper, and it's been a while, from Rachel at Roxy Creations, a pack of Italian paper, and I got straw paper from her, but then this other pack was assorted stuff, and this was in it. And it's a folder. So it had a flap, didn't have pockets, it had flaps. So I used them to my advantage. I just put one of those 4x7, I guess that's, maybe it's bigger than that, but it's the same, it came off the same pad as this. But I put that on here, and you can flap it down. I backed it with paper. I sewed some trim here, and you can open that up, and then you have all this room to write or glue images. You could glue this down and make it a pocket. This is a postcard image that I stamped and then fussy cut seashell. This came out of a children's book, and it has starfish on it, like a children's encyclopedia. And this one is from the children's music book, Castles in the Sand. And I used that and this to help build out this paper. I wanted to cover the back of that music sheet because this was a song that didn't have anything to do with the beach. So I used some paper scraps to do that, and the way I sewed it on as I built the paper up, it created a pocket there. So I added a couple of the Mrs. Cog's cards with some embellishments. This is a Mrs. Cog's image and a page from a seashell book with the photographs. I made a tab and added a bulb pin with a shell on it. And this is another piece that was in that pack of Italian paper, and it was a yellow folder, but the pockets were on the outside of the folder. And I just left it that way. It's a nice sturdy piece, and now it's even sturdier because of all the stuff I glued to it. But I just covered the top part with this paper that reminded me of water, added a stamp, and then did a collage here with images, ledger cardstock, cheesecloth, and some shells that I fussy cut. And then I did this on video. I had embossed this large tag, and then I sprayed it with colors, and I did the spraying and coloring on video. And then I added a piece of plaid paper in a sand color, and you can journal on that. Just added some embellishments. This is the center of the signature. So on the yellow was quite bright, so I toned it down. You can still see it around the edges, but I covered it up with bits of paper. Just kind of did a collage with them so that you can write on these, and then added these fussy cut seashells. And then I left the strings long and added a couple of turtles. This one's a sea turtle. I don't think that one is. I think he's just a turtle. And then we have the pocket on the other side. So I just covered this one with a seashell book page and a couple little pieces that I had, and then here is another tag that I embossed. Added a Mrs. Coggs image and gave you some journaling space on the back. This is from a children's book, and it's a poem called The Seashell by Amy Lowell. And on the back I put a music page, Seashore Days, and this from a seashell book, and added some washi tape. If you have some space here, you can add some photos or memorabilia. It's a seashell paper left over from last year from Stampin' Up. And there is the pale blue tulle, which you can hardly see. Looks more white. And I added again the spangles. And this time I added a couple little squares of fabric, and then the bulb pin with a starfish on it. And on the back of the seashell page, I love this watercolory look. And I put a label here that I had stamped. Took this little scrap and made a pocket. I was building up this page. I guess it wasn't long enough. I don't remember now. Maybe I was just using a scrap, because the page does go all the way down. So I guess I was just using this to make a pocket. And a couple of Mrs. Coggs tags. More starfish. Here's the other side of the blue with the flaps that open up. I did a stamp up here. Here's the other side of that textured paper. I put a Mrs. Coggs image there and one inside with a ruffle sewn onto it. And I used that Sea Life card again for a pocket here. And I took this little piece of music from a children's book. It says Sea Lullaby. Added it to paper that you can journal on. Added a little bit of coffee dyed cheesecloth and a tiny little scrap of blue lace that I had. And this was a cut-off piece of scrapbook paper, and it had the hole there, and I didn't want to trim it, so I just folded the paper so that this end is longer, so that the circle would not be right at the top. And I didn't want to cut it shorter either, so I just left it that way. And you can use these stripes for journaling. But I like the way this turned out. I used a piece of little piece of twill tape here. There's a stingray charm on it, Mrs. Coggs image, and this coral that I had die cut and embossed. There's lots of fun elements in this journal. I mean, it's a one signature journal, and it's just packed full of fun elements. This is a vintage postcard that talks about the legend of the sand dollar, and another page from a seashell book. Added some embellishments there. And then here is a little spot you can write on, and I took two Mrs. Coggs images and glued them on as pockets. These are some digital tags I've had in my stash for a long time, and they had flowers in the centers of those circles, but they were just the right size, and I liked the stripes and the colors. So I used a punch and punched out my kind of a shiny blue paper that I had embossed with the Sea Life embossing folder and added some seashell postage stamps. I stamped a seahorse here. I stamped the seahorse on both sides of that paper, but they are two different stamps. Where's the other side of the paper? There it is. There's that one. This one came with the Your Creative Studio. And I think I got this one at Hobby Lobby. There's a scallop shell. This came out of one of the seashell books. I just put some paper that you could journal on. This is one of my favorite pages here. I used my pocket die. This is what it, sorry for the reach. This is what it looks like. And I got this die from Amazon. I'll try to link it below. This is what you get. And then you have to put this die through 3 times if you want to put a contrasting paper on it. And I had cut both of these, not knowing which one I would want to use. But I'm going to just glue this together, finish that, and put it in my stash. But I really liked the way that this weathered wood looked. It looks like the boardwalk or a pier, and up against this sand. I really liked it. So inside the pockets, I glued it. I was trying to remove that, and it doesn't remove. You can glue it on these flaps only, and then it'll be open all the way down, and you can put a tag down in there. But I put glue on the flaps, and then here and here, so we have 3 shallow pockets. I decorated the pockets with little fussy cut seashells. And then I took some of my fussy cut seashells and glued them to a photo album page that was vintage, and it has the discolorations, so it shows its age. So you can write on all of these little seashells. There's a little stamped postcard that I tucked in there. And you just tuck them in anywhere you want to, any which way you want to. This is a digital, I had this, what do you call it? It's the card with people's names on it that they left when they came to see you. Calling card. It's a calling card, and I did own this, but I made a copy of it. I think I put the original in a seashell book last year. So these are all pieces that you can write on. And on the back is another piece of the Stampin' Up! Seashell paper, and this blue glassine bag with a Mrs. Coggs image, and this squid that I cut out of one of the books. And I just tucked a couple seashell book pages in there, so you can take those images, cut them, and put them wherever you want to. And on the back we have the jellyfish lace again. You can see more of the paint there. And there was some blue paint, dark blue paint that had been from this side that got on this side, so I covered that up with some lace and ribbon. And another of the large Mrs. Coggs images. My signature is there. So there's lots of space to write because of all the pockets and things that I've included in the pockets for writing. So that's a really, really fun book, and I really enjoyed making it. And I'm looking forward to making some more journals with those envelopes like this. I've made some journals with the envelopes, but this is the first time I painted them and Mod Podged on them, and I really enjoyed that. Now let me show you the other items that are in the shop. The journal is in my shop when this video goes up, as are these items. So the first item I'm going to show you is a set of, it's a journal supply kit for making a beach themed or seashell journal. These are the pages from a children's book that I was thinking I might use, but I didn't use any of them. But they're really cute pages. The book had been damaged by water. Well, not damaged, but it got wet, so it's a little crinkly. But I think that makes it perfect for a beach-themed journal. So it's got some really nice images. There's some sea stars, some water birds and seashells, some squid, and it's got the design down the borders. I don't think this was Jan Brett, but I don't know. She always does the pretty borders. Might have been. I don't have the cover of it anymore. Nope, it's Carol Schwartz. And it's from 1991. So, nice pages that you can use. And in addition to those pages, there are these two 8x8 pages with a nautical look. There's the rope there. A song from a children's songbook called The Shell. These pages that are cut, I've cut images off them, but I'm putting the rest of them in. There's still lots of images you can cut out. These pages that weren't cut. I believe these pages came from the National Geographic North American Wildlife book. And these are from the Seashells of the World field guide sort of book with more images that you can cut. There's this image that I used in the journal that I made. These photographic images came from another book. I know there's more. Yeah, there's more here. Lots of beautiful images. And there's an envelope with a lighthouse and a seagull. There's some stickers from the Antiquarian sticker book. This little scrap with the starfish. More stickers. Lots of fussy cuts. I did the work for you. And more stickers. Lots of little pieces. Some whale stickers. These little shell stickers. These are from your creative studio. These sheets are from your creative studio. Quite a few there. And these little die cuts from your creative studio. Oh, there's more of those sheets. With a lot of them. And this sticky notepad. And in this envelope, this is something very special. These are antique images that were in a scrapbook. These aren't from the most recent scrapbook, but I did get this year. I had to soak these off the pages. So let me just show you. These are the antique pieces. This is torn a little bit here. Well, it's not just a little bit. It's torn there. But can you see the sheen on those? They are really neat. This is just, let me trim that off. That is just a scrapbook page there. There, now you get the shape of the seashell. There's that one. So beautiful. I love this one. This one is also torn. And that one. And this teeny tiny one. And this teeny tiny one. And this one, the tip came off of that one. So those are the antique pieces that are in this bundle. And we're not done yet. A couple pieces of fabric. This is just the cotton fabric. And you saw I made pocket out of that. You could make fabric flips with that. I think I used this piece last year. It's a heavier, like a twill. And I think I made the cover of a journal out of this last year. This is what I have left of that. And then the remaining charms that I have are 2 starfish, a whale tail, and a stingray. Oh, there is a piece of tissue paper left too from your creative studio. And that card. Alright, so that is the journal supply kit. It looks like a very small bundle, but there's a lot of stuff in here. And then lastly, this will be another bundle, and it is leftover pages, and there are plenty of them. So you get the Seashells of the World book, whatever is left in here. I've taken pages out and used them, but there are a lot left. There are the leftover pages from this book with all the photographs. I guess that's it, just these 2 books. There's a lot in these 2 books. You can see how many pages. Lots and lots of pages. So that's the second bundle. So 3 things in my shop when this video goes live. This was supposed to be with this bundle. It's a couple of those post-it notes. No, this one got the whole pad of post-it notes. This goes with the journal. Okay, so sorry. So we have the book pages, Seashell book pages. We have the Seashell journal supply kit, and we have the journal. So my shop is linked below. I'll link Mrs. Cog's shop also with the cards that I used of hers. And you can go over there to my shop and check these things out if you'd like to. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this journal and what you think about this technique for using these Amazon envelopes. And would you like to see more of them? Because I'm going to make more, whether you want to see them or not. And then, you know, make a purchase or not. I just appreciate that you watch my videos. So I guess that's it. I will be seeing you in the next video, and I hope you have a creative day today. Bye-bye.